Hi, so I'm going to make a short video here for you guys, just as an introduction to some of the poses that we do during our yoga practice. And this isn't going to be every single pose we do. This is just going to be some basic poses, some of the introduction poses just to get you started. And hi MJ.
Hi.
And then after this video, I'll create a video with a 20 to 30 minute yoga practice that uses the poses that we're going over. So we're going to start with the first pose, which is child's pose. Okay, Bryson, child's pose. So for child's pose, you're going to bring your knees wide on the mat, press your butt towards your heels, and then bring your hands out in front of you, and I'll demonstrate that. So knees wide, sit back onto your heels, and then reach your hands forward. And then I'll just demonstrate it facing forward as well. So sit back towards your heels. You may not come onto your heels, that's fine. And then just extend your hands, walk your hands forward and drop your forehead to the mat. So this is the first pose. It's a resting pose. And the purpose of child's pose is just to get grounded, connect with your body and your mat. Second pose is downward facing dog. So I'll demonstrate it. You'll look like an inverted V. You want to ground down through your hands and your feet. Press your heels toward your mat, though they may not come onto it. So I'll demonstrate this way as well. And be sure to let your hips go.
Hi. Hi.
The next pose is ragdoll. So from downward facing dog, we walk our feet up to our hands. Your feet will be hip width apart, so you're going to take two fists. Make sure you can get them between your feet and fold at your hips. So this is not the way to fold. You want to extend your head forward, make a 90-degree angle, then drop down. And you may need to bend your knees to do that. Clasp opposite elbows and let your head drop. So with ragdoll, if you're not as flexible, you're simply going to put more bend in your knees. So your ragdoll may look more like this. And if you have any low back problems, go ahead and ground your hands down into the mat. So that's ragdoll. The next pose I'll demonstrate is Tadasana. Tadasana is a standing pose. We usually rise from a forward fold into Tadasana. And with Tadasana, you want to ground your feet into the mat, pull the pit of your belly in, hug in from your skin to your muscle to your bone. I'll demonstrate. So I'm going to fold. The teacher says Tadasana. I'm going to bend my knees and reach up. Fingertips spread. Rotate my pinkies toward each other and my thumbs outward, and pull my arms so that they're parallel with my ears, so the best that I can. And then my big toes to touch and my heels just slightly apart. From side view. Tadasana. Next is more of a transitional pose, similar to Ragdoll, but it's called forward fold. So from Tadasana, we'd move to a forward fold and then a halfway lift, which are both transitional. So forward fold, you're gonna go down the same way you came up. Stick your butt back and get a flat back, and then fold down. Halfway lift, you're gonna stand with a flat back. So you're probably gonna wanna bend your knees if you're newer to this to get your back flat. And again, so halfway lift doesn't look like this, or like this, like this. You don't wanna round your back, you want to stick your butt back, press your head forward, and draw your shoulder blades onto your back to create a flat back. And then again, your forward fold, you want to fold at the hip. So keeping your knees bent, just press your butt back and then let your head drop down. So halfway lift, forward fold. Next pose will be high plank. It's a high push-up pose. This is one that you may want to modify by dropping your knees to the mat. So for high plank, some alignment things to look for. You want your shoulders, your wrists to be directly below your shoulders. So I'll demonstrate high plank. And this is another pose where, you know, you're building up your arm strength, you're building up your core strength. So pull your belly in, and if your arms are weak and they're not strong, drop your knees. So I'll demonstrate both. And you want from your head all the way to your feet to be flat. So you don't want your high plank to look like this or like this. If you're finding yourself in either of these positions, you need to drop your knees. So here's your knees, high plank modified. Okay, next is low plank. So for low plank, it's like you're doing a push-up, but you're not. So to go from high plank to low plank, you're basically just going to, I'm on my knees here for this demo, lower down, keeping your elbows tucked in. So let me show this from the side. High plank to low plank. Notice how my elbows stay tucked in. So what my elbows are not doing is going out like this. So from the front view, this is what not to do, what not to do, what to do, okay? And without the modification, you're actually going to shift your weight forward, lower, and then facing forward, high plank without the modification to low plank. So you're just lowering down a couple inches. And then from your low plank, you'll transition immediately into the next pose, which is upward facing dog. So I know it's hard to go to low plank, but you are not going to be there long. So I'll show you first with the modification, high plank to low plank, and then pressing up into upward facing dog.
Mommy?
Yes.
He's hitting me.
Okay, I'll be over in a couple minutes. So high plank. I gotta learn to get my butt down more. High plank to low plank. And then for upward facing dog, you're gonna drop the tops of your feet down and press up. So let's do it without our knees dropped. High plank to low plank, upward facing dog. So in upward facing dog, you're pressing the tops of your feet into the mat, you're pressing your hands into the mat, and then you're lifting up, pulling the pit of your belly in as you lift up. Let's demonstrate it from this angle. High plank to low plank, upward facing dog. Okay. And then, so that kind of gets those poses out of the way. And from upward facing dog, just so you know, we go back to downward facing dog. So let me just demonstrate that transition. I'm in high plank, I shift forward, lower down, press up, and press back. Downward facing dog. The next pose I'm going to demonstrate is Warrior One. So Warrior One, we take from downward facing dog. And I'll step my right foot forward and then lift up. So let me demonstrate it from the side and from the front and then talk about it more. So I'm in downward facing dog. Take your right foot, step it up to your right hand. And then you're going to turn your back foot so that your the outer edge of your left foot is pressing into the mat. So it looks like that, but it's back here. Then press your feet into the mat and lift up. So your feet are pressing into the mat, pulling your belly in. You want to have your arms parallel with your ears and lifting up. Other view here. So I think in this one you can see how my back foot is. It's not like this. You turn it to the side and you press the outer edge down. So I've been doing yoga for a long time, so when I take my Warrior One, I sink down low. You know, I like to try to create this 90-degree angle here. If you're newer to yoga, your Warrior One's not going to look like mine. You know, you might have to have a shorter stance. You might not be able to reach your legs as far apart. So just feel it out in your body. Feel what feels right where you're not creating like an uncomfortable pain. So you know the difference between a bad pain and I'm doing the work so it's uncomfortable pain. So you know the difference. Do the work, but don't hurt yourself. So we do Warrior One on both sides. The next pose that I want to demonstrate is seated forward fold. So seated forward fold. You're just seated. You can bend your knees into this one as well, and you fold forward. And bridge pose. You're gonna lie on your back. Feet press firmly into the mat. Press your hips up. And have your feet about hip width apart. So come back this way. You want to walk your shoulders in together to create more in the pose. Press your hips up, and then you can bring your hands and clasp them underneath you if you're able to. The next one is feet up in the air, take your hands underneath. This is a leg lift, so this is going to help build up your core. Just slowly lower your legs down and then lift them back up. Lower down, lift up. Don't bring your feet all the way to the mat though. So just hover, bring them back up. I'm trying to think if there's any other poses I wanted to go over here. Let's actually do a seated half pigeon for a hip opener. So this is seated half pigeon. Just take your right leg, your right ankle, place it on your left knee. So I'll face forward and then do the same side. So my right ankle. So that's seated half pigeon. And then the final pose is waterfall. So let's do waterfall. And this one actually, if you have a pillow, it works better. For waterfall, you're gonna push your feet back up, but you're just gonna leave them up. And if you can put a pillow underneath your tail so that you don't have to hold them up. I don't have one right here, so try to keep your feet directly above your hips. And then the final pose that you'll take in this upcoming class is going to be Shavasana, and Shavasana is the last pose. You just lay on your mat, and the goal of Shavasana is to get present and just let go of any thinking or worrying about what you're not doing or where you have to be. And just for a few minutes at the end of your yoga practice, lay completely still and just put your attention on your body and just give yourself that space to not have to think about anything or not have to do anything. So that is just the introduction to the poses that we're going to do in the next video, which will be a 20 to 30 minute practice. So I invite you to, pause this, review the poses, and message me if you have any questions. And then, or if you need more modifications, let me know. I'll be happy to provide you with modifications. But let's go ahead and go on to the next video then. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and move on. Thank you.